career after college as an electrical engineer at Boeing, and he's currently an IT project manager and scrum master of Agile Transformation Office in Production Systems. And most importantly, he's a Coug. Yes. Go Cougs. So Joe, tell us about growth via goals.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be back again. Last year, I promised that after I had done a session on kind of task management and doing Agile in your own lives, that I would come back at the beginning of the year and see how it's going, kind of check up on you, and give you hopefully some more meat on the bone for the things that are related to not only just work goals but personal goals, and how we move through this life in an Agile way. And I think there was something about how the last time it was how to get through your life goals without being mad or sad. And this time it's going to even be a higher level than that. It's how to really set your 2017 and beyond up to make yourself really feel like you've moved forward and you've grown via goals. So that's the title of the presentation. That's what we're going to go for. So should we just get started? All right, let's go for it. So slides, please. So this is, like I said, the last time we spoke, it was the Spark system, and I had made little booklets and things like that. So it was great that we had that, and really, but it was very tactical, I would say. It was very, here's week 1 of the year. We're on week 3, if you were curious, and we would every week we'd plan and put turn the page, and we'd have this Spark acronym where we would accomplish our weekly goals that were somehow got to you through some magical process of resolution setting or something like that. I kind of did hand waving last time and didn't really tell people how to get, or how at least I got to goals that I would use in these little booklets. So this time I'm back to kind of settle the score on that and tell you at least how I go through some of the goal setting and some of the research I've done in the various fields that I work in. The promo for this presentation was, we leverage design thinking, Agile, and Lean, and even positive psychology is involved in some of the things that I've been pulling together for this particular presentation. So we're going to go beyond Spark, and we're going to introduce another model. So let's keep going. We all wish that life was simple, at least I do, that we would have this very easy process where we would have, I'm going to lose X amount of pounds, or I'm going to get this master's degree or whatever, and then we would be able to get through life in a known series of steps. Goals, action, win, right? If only I'm the Seahawks and I'm going to win the Super Bowl. That's, for the tragic few that had that hope. But the life is complex, right? And complexity is a particular science, actually. If you were to Google complex adaptive systems, you'd find that there's less power than we think in some of these things, and we really have to go through life with an experimentation mindset, an Agile mindset. So this is not what we have. We do not have a linear process. So we all wish this was true, but life is far messier than we wish it were. And actually, maybe we don't wish it were less messy. It's a super interesting life, and it's engaging. And if we're really engaged with it, it's a self-actualization moment for us. So let's see what we can do. So stepping back a moment, we have I have a quiz for everyone, and we're going to take a pause and see if anyone who can guess what this is. Now, we do have a military contingent in our organization, so I'd be surprised if this actually got through it. It's part of the U.S. Navy. I'll give you one hint. So we pause for a second.
Okay, so just a reminder that
we'll practice the feedback too.
Joe is asking, do you know what this is called? So get your comments in on the chat. I'm looking at them, and we want to make sure you've got that. Do we have any more hints for them?
We do have two more hints.
Let's do one more hint.
One more hint. I know I just sprung this on everybody. Got to wake up and get the coffee going. So it's named after a Roman army configuration.
Okay.
Anything?
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Takes a few. There's a little bit of a delay, so we want to make sure we give people a chance.
Sprung a quiz on them.
So remember this. What you're doing is you're looking at this picture, and Joe's asking you, does anyone have a guess at what this is called? And your hint 1 is it's part of the U.S.
Navy, right?
Hint 2, it's named after a Roman army configuration.
And we got one more hint.
Okay. And we do have some comments.
Okay.
You want to know?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Mark and Kent, I believe, was first. Let me make sure I give credit. Yep. He says the phalanx system.
That's right.
Steve in St. Louis, phalanx cannon.
That's right. Good.
But wait, there's more. Oh, look at everybody's coming out of the woodwork. Yay!
Did everyone get it? Because I'd be surprised if everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
pretty
good
much
for you
everybody
guys.
is saying. Yep.
Yeah, CWIS. The only thing it's called a CWIS, close-in weapon system. So, good job. I am actually not surprised. I knew this audience would be on it, but I was in the Navy for 6 years, and this is the system I worked on. So when I was researching this presentation, I'm like, what am I going to use as a metaphor? And so I'll be using the Phalanx system or the CWIS system as my metaphor. What do you got over there? Anything?
I'm sorry for laughing.
No, it's okay.
That's cute. We've got others. So Ted in Seattle says, "Thing of great suffering," which is true, possibly.
Somebody maybe worked on it because it constantly went down. It was very difficult to work on.
And Greg in St. Louis says an Aegis gun.
Oh, that's the new version, right? Yeah.
So good job. Way to go. See, you're understanding how to use this chat.
And engineers are out there, people in the military. So, it was
all over the world.
a finicky system to work on. So I was one of the technicians on this, and we called it jokingly R2D2. So that's what the Star Wars character was. And but it's actually was really amazing. I was telling Brian earlier today, it's an amazing system. What it does is, and I'll go on to the next slide here. This is some of the detail on it. And I promise this does get back to goals, so trust me. But it has a search antenna, and that's the top of the what they called the radome, and it would search constantly for targets, right? And when it found something that was incoming and met some parameters, it would switch over to the tracking antenna, which is the larger part of it, the middle part, right? And then if it realized that there was this object was of very high interest to the livelihood of the ship, we would then switch to the gun and just make the decision to engage, and then the gun would come on, and everyone, and this was what they called a terminal defense system. And what that meant is, if this doesn't work, you have no backup plan. This was the last line of defense, that a ship or the carrier group might have. So we took it real seriously. So when it didn't work, it was a great object of suffering because it had to work 24/7. It was fully autonomous, and it constantly scanned. So some of the things that I found that were relevant to me, and it's like I'm constantly searching for, is my life working out? Am I, what are the new opportunities? What am I interested in? Especially since I'm mid-career, it's like, I've done what I've done for a long time. Is it time for something new? How do I make life as engaging as I possibly can with my family, at work, and other things and hobbies and stuff like that? So you have that kind of search idea in your life. And so we'll use this as a constant metaphor as we go through this presentation. But good job on guessing what it was.
Yay.
Yeah, it was very nice.
I thought it looked like something out of Doctor Who at first.
It does. It does.
Makes sense.
I couldn't believe how advanced it was for the technology was, but it worked, and it did work. So this is what you. My last presentation was about. You can get mad at yourself if you expected a linear process out of life. If you have, and I have family members who I will not mention. Well, they won't be watching, but they have. My sister in particular is really career oriented and had very specific goals and had a very almost like milestone view of her life, and she would pursue these things pretty aggressively. And when they didn't happen, she had the expectation that they would happen, and then she'd get really kind of sad about it. So. I thought of her too when I went through this. I'm like, are you? And I thought she was trying too hard to work items. She was doing the number one item here. She was working items that were way out of her reach, and that she wasn't able to. She didn't do the research on it. She didn't really know what it took. And then when she went into this space, for example, one of the things she wanted to was nursing, but she hadn't really done the homework. So I'm going to be a nurse by the end of this year, as an example. And she hadn't done the tracking. She hadn't done really the work to get that as a realistic option. So she was searching, and she was running right to shooting. So that's kind of the metaphor I'm using here. So number one is tracking too soon. You're tracking you're not really looking carefully. And CWIS only had a range of about 1,000 yards. If you started shooting too early, you'd just be dropping bullets into the ocean. So that's what my sister was doing. Number two is searching and never tracking. So this is probably closer to what I do. I'll constantly keep looking for new opportunities and get distracted by the shiny new toy and never really track it and finish stuff. So this is the folks out there who have trouble finishing, and they're not really holding themselves to finishing. So, you have 15 different projects that none are completed of. And that's, if you looked in my garage, that's what you'd see. But so I get on myself for not doing number two properly. And then poorly defined opportunity profiles. So the close-in weapon system had to make the decision based on software and some sophisticated algorithms if a target was really an opportunity. What we need is also kind of sophisticated algorithms, not only to see what's a real opportunity, but to prevent us from discarding opportunities. So if we think, oh, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, or I tried that and it didn't work, maybe you only tried for a couple hours. Do you know how much it takes to get to that nursing degree? You just didn't have the right idea of, instead of doubting yourself, maybe you just didn't put the work in. So that would be the analogy to the filter that the close-in weapon system does, is you just really don't discount yourself too soon, especially for these, what we called last time I was here, these fixed mindset mentalities. A little bit of a story. There's a whole, if you Google fixed mindset versus growth mindset, do that, because fixed mindset is the idea that my IQ is at what it is and I'm not smart enough to do X. And that has completely been disproven by a lady named Carol Dweck and others who say, believing that is enough to make it true. So you need to have a growth mindset. So that's what number 3 is about. Don't discount things that are really within your grasp. Okay, so what kind of scanning are you using? I'll go on. Your growth system so we call this a growth system. The growth system has to be an integrated, iterative whole. Maybe you don't get to that goal. I use and I saw this on the internet too, there's something called the American Idol complex, where you think, these poor kids will get up there and they think they can sing. And when they hear they can't is when they're on a national television in front of 100 million people or 10 million people. I don't know what the audience is, but it is, what a horrible thing to do to somebody is to tell them at the very end that they can't do something, or that they don't have this idea. But if they had the idea instead of I'm going to grow as a singer, maybe I'm not going to win American Idol, maybe they wouldn't leave the audience in tears and maybe even profanities where the little American Idol symbol would come over. I loved American Idol, and I can't sing either, and I know better. So, your growth system, call this a growth system. Don't call this a goal accomplishment system, because the Seahawks had a goal too, and they didn't get it, but they still had, in my view, a successful season. So now we're back down to where we're going to goals. So no more CUIs for a little while at least. This is the simpler model that I had than I brought last time. This is really search, track, and engage. It's really what the failing system would do and what many other systems do. But you're constantly scanning. Notice the dotted line at the bottom. You're constantly scanning up and down that track. So I didn't just sell you, say that there's no linear process, and here I am showing you a linear process. That's not what I did. So this is a constant iteration between search, tracking, and engaging. Okay, so we're going to go through the STEF model, and we're going to show some practical examples that you could download today even out of this packet and start using.